It's Wednesday morning in Studio AP, and one of golf's hottest players who will be at the Masters just played Augusta National for the first time. We've got our Golf Channel insider bringing you the details of who it is and how he did it. Then we get the unique swing of a major champ in the field for this week's Valspar Championship. Our Golf Channel Academy lead coach is going to show you the ins and outs of Jim Furyk's signature moves as we head to the Snake Pit. Now, Furyk also will have a new role come this September. We're going to tell you about that, too. But we move on to a fun day for our Golf Travel Insider, as a newly released list of the top 10 golf destinations for 2017 means you should be booking a trip. Matty G takes you through a reversible course opening this summer you've got to try out as part of your golf getaway bucket list. We're covering all the bases as Morning Drive begins now.
Good morning to you. It is Wednesday, as Lauren said, March 8th. Kyle Robinson alongside our insider who's in studio today, Tim Rosiport. Good morning, Tim. The rest of the gang will be with us in a minute as well, and Rosie has got some insider scoop coming up as always, but on what we can expect as we approach the Arnold Palmer Invitational next week, right?
That's right. My home away from home's been converted to a tournament site for next week, and did some digging, talking to people who are organizing it. Obviously, the first year without Mr. Palmer, but they got to. We're going to celebrate. We're not going to mourn the loss of Mr. Palmer.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing a bit more about the plans that are underway. And you have had the inside scoop because you watched it when they transformed this golf course into a PGA Tour venue. It's always quite a spectacle. Well, more on that in a minute. But for now, it's time to find out what's trending as we say good morning to Lauren Thompson.
Good morning, Cara. Glad to have all of you at home joining us as well. Let's move into what's trending, as Cara mentioned, and begin with Jon Rahm, the winner of the Farmers Insurance Open earlier this year, who's in the midst of a scouting trip to Augusta National ahead of the Masters. It also comes on the heels of quite the final round rally at the WGC Mexico Championship, a 368 and a tie for third to cap off his debut in a World Golf Championship event. Now a top 25 player in the official World Golf ranking. And Cara, he was even calling out the winner and world number one Dustin Johnson, saying he wants a rematch the Sunday of the Masters. That's big talk.
I bet he does, by the way. Impressive stuff from Jon Rahm. He's had 3 top 5s in his last 4 starts, so his odds to win the Masters are now 25-1. That is pretty low for a first-timer, as we dive straight into the notebook with Tim Rosiport. Rosie, I know that you spoke to Tim Mickelson, Jon Rahm's agent. What was his impression his first time around Augusta?
He said he was like a kid in a candy store. Obviously, a lot of buzz about Rahm and a lot of self-confidence there. He went around twice yesterday, 36 holes with his caddy, Adam Hayes. Going around again today before returning home to Scottsdale, and then he'll play the match play and in Houston on his way to the Masters. But this was more, there was nothing really to come out of the lines, out of those rounds. You know, didn't shoot 32. You know, it wasn't really about that or making birdies or eagles. It was more about getting the lines first time around the golf course. Hayes has experience there. And you look at what Rahm has done thus far, 5 top 5s in his first 15 events. Pretty incredible. And I talked to Hayes after he finished. He won out at Torrey Pines, and he said, you never like to compare a guy to Tiger. You don't want to put those type of expectations on a kid, but he's got that invariable. He loves the big situation. We certainly saw that out at Torrey. We saw it at the end of this golf tournament when he put a scare into Dustin Johnson, and we'll see if he can do what Seve didn't do, which was winning his first time to Augusta.
Love that you mentioned Seve. Of course, Seve, the movie, aired on Golf Channel last night. Hope you all enjoyed that. This is certainly someone who has a similar kind of Spanish flair. Well, as part of the successful week at Chapultepec last week for the WGC Mexico Championship, where Jon Rahm played incredibly well, the Salinas family launched the first tee of Mexico. Now, I believe, Rosie, that you've spoken to Benjamin Salinas about future plans for the organization.
Yesterday at his office down in Mexico City, and the optics were great. I mean, if you watch the telecast, they let in kids under 16 for free. There were 3 to 4 to 5 deep along the gallery ropes. He wants to double that by next year. This is a big first tee, grow the game of golf in Mexico initiative. He wants to have a first tee chapter and also a public golf course built in every one of Mexico's 32 states by the time, ultimately, not by next year. That's a big ask, obviously. He wants the game of golf to be driven by passion and not by resources down in Mexico. And they have a big grand scheme, and they also have the money behind it as well. And ultimately, they're going to send instructors down from the United States to all of those chapters that they want to build, all of those first tee chapters, to teach the instructors down there how to teach the game of golf so that Mexican kids grow up not only as observers, but also as players that ultimately get to play in a WGC event.
Goodness me, they're taking on quite the task. We're lucky to have people like the Salinas family in this game of golf, though. And if last week was anything to go by, I think we all can't wait to see the WGC Mexico Championship unfold again next year. Well, we've got plenty of time before then, but now we're just over a week away from the start of what will be the first Arnold Palmer Invitational since the passing of the King last September. What can we expect, Rosie, in terms of plans to really honour Arnie at Bay Hill next week?
Talking to Corey Britt yesterday, Vice President with Arnold Palmer Enterprises, and a lot of it is going to be in the spirit of Arnold, to celebrate his life and career, more so than, as Corey said, Arnold wouldn't want people moping around in a sad mood. So there are going to be touches like his golf cart behind the 16T, like he always parked it, some glass modules which will have trophies in it, memorabilia, things that you can really sort of reach out and touch Arnie. His office, interestingly enough, has not been touched since his passing. He, of course, moved up to Latrobe in the meantime. But in essence, everything that was there when he left is still there, and including this bottle of Arnold Palmer cologne, which is something that Corey shared with me, that it's kind of a remembrance of Arnold. Every time he goes in, he can almost smell the smell. Sometimes he gives it a little squirt just to kind of make sure he's feeling it. But, you know, just another way that people are going to be able to experience Arnold, what he did for the game of golf, and players are being invited and special guests to go up through the office the week of the tournament and sign a card, a handwritten card to Mr. Palmer in similar fashion to what he always did. He made that famous.
Yeah, he sure did. I'm sure many of the professionals will be taking a trip through the office and smelling that cologne next week. Rosie, thank you. You're going to stick around for some more notes in hour two?
Yep, for the whole show.
Alrighty, perfect. Don't go anywhere, because he has more, by the way, on a young man who finished tied fourth as an amateur at the Valspar Championship last year, and he makes his professional return to the event this time. We'll have more in hour two, LT.
Thank you so much, Cara. Well, we now move on to the news from last night's President's Cup news conference, where the United States captain Steve Stricker announced Jim Furyk as his pick for his fourth assistant captain. Furyk, he now joins Tiger Woods, Fred Couples, and Davis Love III to help the United States in their title defense this September at Liberty National in Jersey City. Now, Jim Furyk, he will also be in action this week in Palm Harbor, Florida for the Valspar Championship, where if you look at the history of those with at least 10 rounds in the books for the event, it's Mr. 58. Yeah, a nickname he earned at the Travelers Championship last year, leading the pack over names like Spieth, Garcia, and Luke Donald. Impressive numbers, one seriously unique swing, as we now welcome in our Golf Channel Academy lead coach Travis Fulton in the simulator for a better look. Good morning, Travis.
Good morning. Yeah, lots of success there for Jim Furyk at Copperhead. Tough golf course, not surprised. And not too shabby in his career either. 17 wins for the assistant captain this year in the President's Cup. So let's have some fun here. Let's look at Jim Furyk's swing. It is a little unorthodox. There's some things that kind of make it his swing, his identity, his DNA. But I think there's some things that we can all learn from that he does. So here's Jim here at address. And I want to point out here, you're probably not going to see a player set up as close to the golf ball as Jim does. Look at his hands. His hands are darn near touching his pant leg there. Now, I'm going to draw a line here just off the hands here, and you would think with his hands starting so close to his body that his hands would move away from his body in the first part of the backswing. But watch this. We're going to play it back. His hands are going to start to the inside. Look at that. Now, what's key here is that his hands not only went inside, but the club shaft is still in line there, pretty much on his toe line. So I want to demonstrate that here. Sets up very close. His hands don't go away from him, but they start in here. What's key is the club head didn't get in here. Even though it's very much in and deep, his hands and the club head are still pretty much in line and right over that toe line. You can see the shaft here. If I put a line on it there, it's pretty much going to match up right on top of the toe line. So very much an inside takeaway with the hands, good integrity to the club head. Now we're going to eliminate those lines and we're going to take them up to the top of the swing. As we go to the top of the swing here, this is where Jim starts to take on the shape and the identity of his swing. And you can see very vertical. Again, you're not going to see a tour player with the club this stacked up. If we put a line here, this club's not only vertical, it's actually starting to tip over a little bit towards Jim's head. And of course, we see most players there where the shaft is kind of laying back. Now, when I see this position at the Academy and I start seeing this vertical kind of teeter-tottering type of club shaft, you got a decision here. You can go one way, which is towards the golf ball, and we're going to bring in here kind of this cone here on the right-hand side. And this is the no-go zone. When I see a club go this way, it's going to suggest to me a higher handicap, right? We all know it. We go this way, kind of over the top. Now, of course, Jim's a world-class player, and what we see with the lower handicaps, the professional golfers, is they're going to go more to the other side. So we're going to bring in now this green cone. This is the go zone, right? So we don't want to go towards the ball, but we want to see this shallowing out effect. That's what we see with the best players, regardless where the shaft is at the top, where it's vertical or whether it's there. We start to see the club work back down underneath that. So check this out with Jim. We're going to feint this green here a little bit and watch how the shaft, look at this, shallows out beautifully, the sweet spot trailing behind the left wrist. That's what makes Jim Furyk's swing so good, is that shallowing out right back to this toe line. Remember where those lines were? Watch this. We're going to bring his hands back in. Boom, look at that yellow line. His hands return right back inside there. The club shaft right back on that toe line, just where he was going back at the halfway spot. And he's in a beautiful position now to turn and really hold off the face. Jim, really very much a rotational player, not a lot of closure in the club face. Just really fun to watch how he manages the toe line here, and then from there, from this vertical position, really shallows it out beautifully right back to that toe line, and then just turns on the rotational phase and hits it. It's a timing-oriented swing. It's produced 17 PGA Tour wins. I love breaking it down. There's things that we can learn from it. Back to you, LT.
Yeah, Travis, and it's a move that he owns. Well, now let's dive into a fun topic for fans of layouts that are fast to get around. Our travel insider is about to reveal his list of the top 10 short courses across the country. Always a fun and fresh take on a round of golf. Perfect timing, too, as Matt Janella just got back from feasting his eyes on a new short course created by the Black Knight in Missouri. And in his grouping, Gary Player himself. Not too bad. You may have seen this just a couple days ago on Monday, live on Morning Drive. And now he has made his way back to us in Studio AP just in time to take a seat with Charlie Reimer. Good morning, Matt and the big timer, I should say.
Good morning, LT. Matt Janella, always happy to be with my buddy. And I really like you, Matt. I'm just not sure why.
I know why, actually, Charlie. I listen to your stories and I laugh at your jokes.
He's the only one around here that actually listens to me. Well, LT was showing us some great video there of your time out in the great state of Missouri at Big Cedar Lodge with Mr. Player. How is it hanging out with Mr. Player?
I got to tell you, I'm still sort of buzzing from my experience with him. An 81 years old guy, and I say he doesn't just talk the talk; he walks the walk. It was, we're 3 o'clock tee time. We were going to meet him up there. Wind was blowing about 35 miles an hour. It was cold, and I thought for sure there's no way. Not only are we not playing, he might not even show up. Wrong. He showed up. He was the first one out on the tee. It was a foursome of a bunch of single-digit handicappers. We were having a little $10 skins game, $10 a man. We took the $40 divided by number of skins won. He won 3 skins. Nobody else won a single skin. He made about 5 birdies in the 13 holes. He was getting up and down out of bunkers. He was hitting shots from 220 yards on a line with a 7-wood. His love for the game and for all that's going on around him is infectious, and it's just a real honor.
Nothing
honestly.
like watching Gary Player hit a bunker shot or really do anything on the golf course.
Putting, every putt he had to make, he made it. He's one of the big 3, and I was reminded how special he is.
Your take on the par 3 course there, his design, the second one at Big Cedar.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, he built a new course up there. So and it's spectacular. You leave it up to Johnny Morris and Gary Player and Gary Player's team of people for shaving back some of the land there, exposing some of that limestone rock. They've got about 5 or 6 infinity greens out there. It's a very unique and fun experience. There's no forced carries. There's no water hazards. We got around in about an hour and 10, 20 minutes, 13 holes. It's very walkable. It doesn't look that way, but it is. I think you're going to see generational golf up there. You're going to see buddies trips up there. You're going to see everything that's right about the game of golf at what will be the Gary Player course, the mountaintop Gary Player course at Buffalo Ridge there at Big Cedar Lodge. Awesome. I'm very excited for golf.
And I'm a big fan of par 3 golf. In fact, next week I'm headed over to Bermuda. I go every year, taking vacation next week to play in the World Par 3 Championship. Championship. It's at Turtle Hill at Fairmont, Southampton, and it's absolutely spectacular golf course. A full 18 holes, and I'm telling you, when the wind starts blowing, it really gets your attention. They have this spot between the hotel and the beach where this golf course sits, and it'll be in great shape. And I keep hoping that I have a chance to win a world title, and I keep getting my butt kicked every time I go over there. But this year's going to be a lot of fun.
A field of pros or amateurs?
Well, it's a mix. Okay. My son, who's caddied for me the last 2 years, Charlie, he's actually going to play as a 7 handicap.
I love it.
I'm hoping I can beat him, actually.
I don't like your chances.
Speaking of par 3 courses, of course, you always have your list. Talk to me about your highest ranked short courses.
This is my favorite list. Of all the lists I do, the one that I love the most is the list of top short courses in the country. We talk about the 13-hole par 3 course coming there at Big Cedar Lodge. Well, my favorite is the 13-hole par 3 course at Bandon Dunes, and that's Bandon Preserve, built by Bill Core and Ben Crenshaw. I'll tell you, probably one of the most popular of the set of 5 courses there at Bandon Dunes, and none of them are bad. So Bandon Preserve is fantastic. We talked about Top of the Rock. That's the Jack Nicklaus course that they already use for the Bass Pro Shops Legends of Golf. That is fantastic. 3 tops and treetops built by Rick Smith. I mean, you know, the West Palm Beach, the par 3 course there, awesome. Each one of those, you're going to have that fun, fast, unique, playable, scoreable experience. Like I said, what we're doing in the game of golf, connecting the dots and creating more of these experiences for people, in addition to sort of the top golf experiences that we know and love. This is what's good for golf.
There's certainly a lot to love about par 3 golf. Right now, let's go across and check in with LT. LT, what you got for us?
Well, there's a lot to love on social media going on, too, starting with one of Charlie's favorite topics, beef. Andrew Beef Johnston, right here on Instagram, taking in a little NHL hockey action. He was a first-timer to one of these. He was watching the Rangers take on the Lightning in Tampa. Ice hockey time is what he said. Nice thumbs up. I know he had a front and up-close seat for that. Also this, Morgan Pressel. She was in the action for Singapore, the HSBC Women's Champions. Great week at one of my favorite countries after 2 weeks in Asia. Ready to head back to the States and get ready for the West Coast swing. The LPGA off this week, then they're going to be in Phoenix, Arizona. Moving on, though, now to some unfortunate news. As Ian James Poulter posted this, he's sad to announce that IJP Design is closing down. We'd like to thank all of our loyal customers who have supported us over the years. We're going to have a few more details on this coming up on Morning Drive, so stay posted. More social media ahead this morning. But tonight, get ready to have the keys to short game practice handed over to you straight from a 12-time PGA Tour winner. And Steve Stricker, the U.S. President's Cup captain, just had a big birthday last month. He's about to make his debut on the 50 and over circuit. Get a preview of the PGA Tour Champions Learning Center later as Morning Drive is off and running.